Who says you have to be in one lane and stay in that one lane? Who says you have to have one job and be that one job? Words of wisdom from Jen Groover. Welcome to Support is Sexy. I'm your host, Elayne Fluker, entrepreneur, author, and founder of Chic Rebellion Media. 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, I interview inspiring women entrepreneurs who share their wins and their lessons to help you take your business and your life to the next level and create something sexy. Here we go. Hi, everyone. Welcome to episode 286 of the Support is Sexy podcast. We're continuing our Support is Sexy rewind with Jen Groover. And Jen Groover is my serial entrepreneur idol. She is one of the women actually who gave me the nudge to let me know that I was really onto something with this whole Support is Sexy idea. So thank you, Jen. And thank God for women who are generous enough to tell another woman, go for it. So on today's Support is Sexy Rewind, Jen talks about how she, as a woman of many talents and interests, gives herself permission to operate in more than one lane and how that has been a key strategy to her success. So here we go with Jen Groover. All right. So Jen, thank you so much for joining us for an episode of Support is Sexy. I'm excited to have you here.
I'm so excited to be here. I'm so proud of you and the journey that you took from this vision into turning it to a reality.
Thank you so much. Now, the first question I ask everyone, when did you first fall in love with entrepreneurship?
Before I even knew entrepreneurship was a thing, because this is back in 1995 before entrepreneurship was cool. Now it's cool and the in vogue thing to do. Back then it was, could you not get hired by somebody? Is that why you're starting your own business?
Right.
So, the thought of working for somebody else and making somebody else really successful based on my efforts was such a warped concept to me. And I just realized, hey, if I'm going to go work really hard and give away a lot of ideas and initiate a lot of effort, I'd rather just do it for myself. And I was really passionate about fitness back then. And not that I'm not any longer, but the fitness industry was a brand new industry then. And so kind of had no idea what I was doing or how to do it, but I just followed my passion and my heart. And once I committed to that journey, the universe kept putting people in front of me to help me.
Excellent. Now, what would you say you were like as a little girl growing up? Did you grow up in Philly or where did you grow up?
I did, in the suburbs of Philadelphia. Mm-hmm. If it's any insight, my nickname from my relatives was Cyclone.
There you go.
So I was a massive ball of energy. I kind of whirlwind into an area and I whirlwind out, which I guess I do still to this day. Mm-hmm. But I had a pretty dysfunctional childhood, which I think drives your independence, creativity, self-sufficiency, and resiliency, which are all necessary skill sets to be a successful entrepreneur. So, while I was high energy, I would attribute the dysfunctionality of my childhood to be my driving force to success.
What were some of the things what you feel comfortable sharing that you feel were dysfunctional?
There was, my dad was an alcoholic. So a functioning alcoholic. He grew up in a dysfunctional childhood. So it was just part of his cycle that he didn't know how to break. And my mom was a sassy, mouthy Brooklyn, New York woman who didn't really take much nonsense from anybody except for my dad in our home. And so there was a lot of fighting. There was a lot of control around money. I have 12-year-old twin daughters and they're in 7th grade and I've just started giving them a little space of them coming home and no one being there for like 20, 30 minutes. And that's not even every day. I think back to when I was growing up, my mom had to work. And I would come home from school in like 2nd grade by myself after school or with my brother. So, you're making your own stuff and kind of creating your own rules and creating your own discipline of getting homework done. And there's a self-sufficiency there. So the dysfunctionality the fighting and the abuse made me very aware that I wanted to break the cycle, the control around money. Very much wanted to break that cycle. And then the independence created the self-sufficiency to be a self-starter because you had to be.
And that's sort of, as you mentioned, how it played into the entrepreneur that you are today, as opposed to taking the route of being defeated by it.
Right, exactly. You have to, you get two choices. Do you want to be empowered by each circumstance, or do you want to be a victim? And I chose empowered. I chose a choice, like I have the choice to change this as I get older. My brother, who's only 11 months older than me, he didn't. He was very much a victim to our circumstances, very much angry, and became very, very, very overweight in his older life, and failed out of college. And he was way textbook-wise, way smarter than me, and had a college scholarship. So he became a victim and angry and resentful, and chose that pattern. And it really hindered so much of his abilities in life and his potential in life, where I took the opposite path of, you know what? I'm going to change the cycle and create my own future. And that's really what entrepreneurship is, right? It's about taking charge and creating your own life instead of waiting for life to happen to you.
Right. And I think it's so well, first of all, thank you for sharing that part of your story. And then,
absolutely.
And I think it's so powerful, like you said, this idea of choice is not just, oh, well, this person is smarter than me, or this person is whatever. We really do have a choice in our own destiny.
Yeah. And in the stark reality of it, in that example, my brother was supposed to succeed more than me in what we think society is supposed to look like, with a good student who has natural capabilities in the classroom. But I had more of the natural abilities to socialize and more of the natural abilities around sports, which means teamwork, which means collaboration, which means a certain sense of self-competitiveness. And so I still think a lot of my family members scratch their head and think, how did Jen wind up being the successful one of these two? And so those are self-limiting beliefs that my family and society had very much clearly projected on me. I was just too stubborn to take those beliefs and allow them to define me.
Right. I was going to ask, how did you shake them off? But you just said that you were too stubborn to accept them. Luckily, too stubborn to accept them.
Yes, luckily.
So sorry, go ahead.
I never was one to hear something and just take it for what it was. I question everything, but why? But why is that the way it is? And why can't it be done differently?
Right.
So that belief of not just accepting things, but questioning everything is a huge component into being successful, I believe.
Absolutely. And then you mentioned that you started off in the fitness industry, and what was that part of your journey like? And then how did you transition into some of the things you've done today, especially being an inventor? I created a group fitness program while I was in college because I came home during one of the holiday breaks and did step aerobics. So it shows you the time frame. And I just loved it. So I didn't want to stop doing it while I went back to college. So I very entrepreneurially said, okay, well, I don't want to stop it, so I have to create it. So I went to the school, asked for some steps, asked for a space, and created this program. And that really became a very clear passion for me. I loved teaching. I got a high from it, a very clear high that I wanted to feel the majority of my life. And so when I graduated college, my degree was in education and psychology, which I believe you can do pretty much everything with. I believe every person should study psychology because it's the study of human behavior, which is pretty much everything. So when I graduated college, I started teaching for a half of a school year in a kindergarten classroom, taking over for a teacher who had left halfway through the year. And I affirmed that was exactly what I did not want to do in a traditional setting for the rest of my life. And I was still teaching classes at night, and I went to my dad and I said, you know what, I don't want to do this teaching thing. I feel sick to my stomach every day driving to school.
And I don't want to feel that way. I want to feel that high that I feel when I'm teaching. So I'm going to make a career out of this. And there was no real career path in 1995 that you could make in the fitness industry. It was a very new industry. There was no quote unquote financial security. There was no sense of path to go down to become successful. Influencers, that was the first initial stage of what an influencer was. Reebok did it with Jen Miller, with the Step. And so I kind of just observed who was being successful and would try to duplicate those people. Petra Kolber is another one who became a very dear friend of mine, still is to this day. And so I just started teaching more and more classes, and then I became a master trainer. Then once I quit that teaching, I kind of really committed to the universe. And this guy that I went to high school with came into a bar that I was working at night, a couple nights a week to support that lack of income. And he had said to me, he just was opening a gym in Wilmington, Delaware, and they needed a female business partner. And I was like, okay, I'm in. I have no idea what to do, but I'm in. So I became a business partner in this. It was a very country clubbish, boutique-y type fitness center. Very successful. Our clients were very successful people, CEOs of Fortune 500 companies, and a lot of people in the DuPont families. And during that journey, I became a national level fitness competitor as well. But what was really helpful during that time period, as I'm living out my dream, is I was also surrounded by people who lived out their dreams. So I mentioned my clients were really successful on purpose because I absorbed like a sponge every time I was around them how they got there. And what their lifestyle looked like. And that allowed me to dream big. I mean, I saw houses bigger than I could ever imagine in my life, like some that were size of castles. I saw, the CEO, Lance Weaver, create nbsp that became like one of the biggest bank buyouts in history of the U.S. And so I watched these people doing these insane things and traveling all over the world, and it helped me clear my scarcity mindset and create a more abundant mindset of what's possible during that time period.
Did you know that that's what you were doing at that time, or did you know from your past experience of just modeling after the fitness people that you looked up to that this was something that helped you be successful?
I didn't really know what I was doing. It just seemed fascinating to me. My degree is in psychology, so I obviously had a curiosity for understanding human behavior. And now I know what I know, and I would tell anyone, hey, listen, if you're teaching people in that space, listen and absorb everything. Ask as many questions as possible. Look at their lifestyle. Make it part of your own mindset of what's possible for you. I didn't intentionally do it then the way that I would say to do it now.
Right.
I just did it out of fascination and curiosity, and like, wow, I want to live in a place like that. And wow, I want to travel the world like that. And I want to drive cars like that. And so it became this drive, not as so much of the material, but the fact that they were able to achieve that, to get those things. I'm actually a very simple person when it comes to, I achieved all those things. And then once I had a lot of those things, I realized how unhappy I was having those things. And it wasn't really about the things. It was about the achievement to be able to get those things if you want to have them.
Now, at what point did you realize that you weren't really happy with those things? Was that further into your career or when you had already made a transition?
Yeah, this was once I launched the Butler Bag Company, and it became, so I'd already built myself in the fitness industry, and then transitioned into helping other women start businesses. And I started working with QVC, and then I launched the Butler Bag Company. So it was kind of like stage 3 of my career. I believe you build on everything. I didn't just go from one place to the next. You transition with different experiences. But it was once I had it all. Once I looked around and I had the Shore House and the Pocono House and the home, and I had the car that I wanted, and I kept feeling like, okay, I got it. So I'm supposed to be really happy right now. And then I would get the next thing and I'd be like, okay, I should feel really happy right now. And I kept not feeling happier, which made me feel more unhappy that I wasn't feeling happier. And I realized the drive for success to me, and really truly for everybody, as I more and more understand human behavior, it's really the journey of growth. Growth is what makes us happy.
Right.
Expanding is what makes us happy. Breaking through new paradigms is what makes us happy. But we've been so conditioned in our society that, forget about the journey, which is really where the happiness comes from. Go down that path as fast as possible to get that stuff. And once you get that stuff, because that's what commercials are about, right? Mm-hmm. Once you get that stuff, then you're going to be happy, which is why it leaves so many people feeling depleted and depressed, even when they are quote unquote successful, because they got those things and then they were like, wait,
where's the happiness?
I don't feel happy. I was supposed to feel happier. Maybe you do the first day you drive a car off of a lot, but a week later you're like, okay,
now what?
What's next?
Exactly.
What's next? Right. And so it's this high depletion, instead of focusing on the experiences every day of, the phone calls that are exciting and the new ideas that are exciting and the possibilities that are exciting.
Is that how you stay motivated in all the businesses and things that you've created since the Butler bag became so hugely successful and other things that you're doing now?
Yes, 1,000%. I look back on every day at the end of the day and reflect on the cool phone calls I had, the cool emails I had, the cool possibilities of what can come from those things, the pride in what my friends are doing and what they're accomplishing. And that gets me just as equally excited. Like, I'm so excited that we sat at that table one night in New York and you talked about how support is sexy and how you love feeling supported. And here we are. Like, I am so proud of you. Like, that gives me energy.
Thank you. I appreciate you. I'm proud of you too, but thank you for believing in that idea.
Thank you.
Seeing you light up about it made me be like, okay, maybe I'm on to something here.
And you are.
No,
you are.
Thank you.
It's actually taking the wave of women's support into not just like this, we are women, hear us roar, raw feminism energy, but into this is sexy, this is feminine energy, this is powerful. And it's a very different context than that old women morality mindset versus women create a foundation. And to me, that's where we really need to be going. If we as women want to get to the next level, it's not about women are better than men. It's about when women step into their feminine power and they align with men in their masculine power, then we actually create a greater whole.
Absolutely. Now, one of the things that you mentioned in your book, What If and Why Not, is about this idea of personal growth being as much a part of being a great entrepreneur as anything else.
Yes.
And you sort of, it's everything you say.
It's everything.
It is everything. I agree.
I just read a article yesterday. I think it was in Inc. or Fast Company. I believe it was Inc. that said this man basically spent this day. I guess he was probably at like a Summit Series event or something. It sounded like, and he was with some of the most successful people that are existing in each category of business today. And the one commonality he found out from all of them is that they read feverishly and learn and grow. And so maybe they're not even reading the book, but they're listening to the book on tape or watching a TED Talk in video. But basically the common denominator is growth. That growth mindset, that personal development time is carved out at least 1 to 2 hours a day, every day.
Mm-hmm. And it's crucial to growth. I agree. That's so true. And another thing that you're very much a big proponent of, I mean, you mentioned the study of psychology and why that's always been of interest to you, but this idea of emotional intelligence.
Yes.
And how important that is. Can you tell our listeners what that is and why it's important to us as women and as leaders?
Yeah. So emotional intelligence is probably my biggest priority right now, because I believe it literally will diminish every issue we have in the world that's negative and uplift everything that's positive. Ultimately, emotional intelligence is a heightened sense of self-awareness of all of our thoughts, feelings, actions, habits, and how they affect us internally and externally. So it's not just, what I'm thinking creates how I'm feeling, but it's what I'm eating actually creates how I'm feeling. And how I'm sleeping, or am I hydrated or dehydrated, affects how I'm feeling. And so this heightened sense of all these factors that create our physiology, that supports our psychology, which supports our emotions, allows us to eliminate hindrances that hold us back from being successful. And then one step further, emotional intelligence also allows you to communicate with people more effectively, to not be affected by people and their stuff, and understand, like a simple factor of hurt people hurt people. Mm-hmm. So, emotionally, I know hurt people hurt people. Therefore, I'm not going to be offended when someone's mean to me because I know they're being mean because they're in pain. Mm-hmm. So imagine how much that one thing could change everyone's life. Imagine the amount of energy that can be saved from drama and therefore increased in productivity by the fact that no one else can affect you once you know that hurt people hurt people.
Now, is emotional intelligence something that can be taught? I've seen different schools of thought on it. Some people think you just have it. Others think you can learn to be better at it. What do you think?
I think it is complete and utter nonsense that people are born with it or they're not. I mean, the fact is we're all born with it. Babies come in this world joyful. Babies come in this world without fear. So we're all born with it. We just lose it through life experiences, through people's projections of fears, through people's meanness, through people's limited beliefs projected upon us. Babies aren't born in the world judging people, right?
Right.
It's through their environment that they learn judgment. So I don't believe this you're born with it or without. I believe we're all born with it. And I believe our environment conditions our decrease of it. And every single person in the world can increase it. Even in one conversation, I bet on this, like someone listening right now, hurt people. If you really actually embody that and embrace that, that changes your life. Now your emotional intelligence is increased just by that one nugget of wisdom. So, or the fact that if you eat sugar, you actually decrease your emotional intelligence because it creates a surge of insulin that makes you get this high, and then all of a sudden you drop. So once that insulin drops, you become cranky and moody. So are you more emotionally intelligent or less? So if you want to be more emotionally intelligent, do you decrease the amount of sugar in your life? Of course, that's what you do, because then you perform better. You have more patience. You have more mental clarity. So it's at this stage, I feel like, we could teach everyone in the world to be more emotionally intelligent almost in minutes. The more you do it, it's like a practice, like yoga is a practice. You can keep deepening the practice and mastering the practice. But everyone can learn things to apply very quickly to become more emotionally intelligent. The true test is when they're triggered, right? So I could say hurt people, and people get it. And they're like, oh, okay, that's right. So I should probably not get mad at someone who's mean to me. And then the second somebody snaps at them and it triggers an old wound, that's where the true test of application comes in.
Right.
So it's also about learning our triggers that hold us back.
So is there a book or any course that you recommend where people can sort of, if they want to get started learning about it and what it is with emotional intelligence, and then, as you mentioned, applying it?
Well, I lead courses. I teach courses on it. I teach it very differently than most of my counterparts. Most of my counterparts teach it from a psychology standpoint, which obviously there's a foundation of psychology that's a part of it. I teach in a very holistic manner. I don't believe you can think being emotionally intelligent. I believe you holistically have to be emotionally intelligent, which I mentioned nutrition. That's a huge part of it. I could think emotional intelligence all day long, but if I'm eating garbage, I'm not going to be as emotionally intelligent. So I teach it from a holistic standpoint that includes nutrition, neuroscience, quantum physics, Buddhism. So to me, Buddhism really is emotional intelligence. I learned emotional intelligence from psychology studies. However, I didn't fully embody it and be it, actually live it day in and day out and embody all aspects of it until I understood Buddhism. And studying Buddhism is really the study of practice. It's the practice of kindness, compassion, and empathy, and the art of letting go. Mm-hmm. And ultimately, that's where the mastery of emotional intelligence comes in.
Now, where can people find out more about your courses?
So there's a new site that's going to be going up. I'm launching a new company. I've been doing this as, under jengroover.com, mm-hmm. As my personality brand for many, many years, same way as I do for a motivational speaker. I'm actually launching a new company called the Accelerated Achievement Institute, mm-hmm. Which is going to be teaching these courses, training other people in the life coaching and in the wellness industry, so they can be certified, and then also doing a lot more corporate training, which has accelerated a lot for us in the last couple years, where, emotional intelligence was thought to be a soft skill set. Now it's thought to be an impact skill set, finally.
Right.
But for now, if somebody's listening to this before the site is up, which should be like the next week or two, on Facebook, somebody could inbox me, which is just my name, Jen Groover, and they can inbox me and I'll email them the details for the course.
Excellent. And we'll keep an eye out for the new website. I can't wait. Now, tell us about it. I know you have to go soon. So tell us about your other new business that you're working. First of all, you're a woman of multiple businesses and talents. Let me just say that. That was going to be one of my questions, how you handle that, but I can't even get into it. But what about the new other business that you're starting, Startup?
So I'm going to answer that as a quick glip, because I think a lot of people wonder that and they're like, this is impossible. And the truth is multiple right. Things. Yeah. And I want to know too why it's so important, and it's smart, obviously, but so important to you as an entrepreneur. Well, I believe it's nonsense too that we're only good at one thing and you can only focus on one thing. We are actually multi-talented, multifaceted, multi-passionate human beings. And when I would watch like Martha Stewart and Oprah and Richard Branson and their businesses while I was an up-and-coming entrepreneur, I would think, well, if they could do it, why can't I do it? I mean, who said you have to be in one lane and stay in that one lane? Who said you have to have one job and be one job? Why can't everything integrate and intersect together like a matrix? So my mind thinks like a matrix. So I obviously don't want to, nor did Martha, nor did Oprah, nor did Richard, start all of the companies from the ground up. What happens as an entrepreneur, you become very clear as to what you're good at and what you're not good at. And then you become very honest about it. So I align myself with people who are good at what I'm not good at. I don't believe in recreating a wheel. So I identify partners who have a part of the wheel in place already so that, the pie can grow faster. 100% of $100 is still $100. 20% of $100,000 is a heck of a lot more money, right? So I'd rather have the 20% and have a functioning wheel that, we're getting a lot more out of. And so I do a lot of licensing deals as well. So strategic partnerships, licensing deals, and franchise aspects of franchising as well. So when you do that, then you can accomplish a lot more, because then you're focused on what you're good at. And think about when you're focused on what you're not good at, what do? You
waste time.
You procrastinate, right?
Yes,
because
exactly.
You don't want to do it. Mm-hmm. So imagine if everything you're doing all day, or at least 99% of what you're doing all day, you're passionate about. You're going to do a lot more, right?
Right.
So that's how I maintain being a serial entrepreneur. Everything, even though it might seem like, wait, she's got a fashion company, and then she's in sports management. Now she's got this achievement institute. That's so all over the place, but it's really not. Every single thing is interconnected in one way, shape, or form. And the common denominator for me is human potential. And teaching people.
Sorry, go ahead.
Just teaching people how to be the best version of themselves, which leads to Jumpstart Startup, was my latest company, which is the first ever pop-up stores for entrepreneurs that basically helps accelerate the startup and growth of small businesses by pulling all the resources that they need together under one umbrella, and then eliminating the barriers of entry, which is knowing what to do next and the finances to do so.
Excellent. Now, is that going to start in Philadelphia, or where's the first pop-up?
The first one was successfully in Philadelphia. The next one's going to be in LA in January, and we do one city a month throughout 2017 up until November.
Excellent. And where people can find out about that by going to your Facebook page also?
jumpstartstartup.com. You can sign up for, to find out where we're going next. And then we also are creating it as a content site so that, even if we don't have an event near you for a while, you can actually have an experience in the event, but digitally.
Excellent. Now, in closing, if you think over your life and career and you had the chance to thank only one person whose support was critical to you personally or professionally, who would it be and what would you say?
Well, I'm going to have to say two people, quite honestly, because I can't. So Bob Proctor was a mentor of mine, and Bob Proctor took my mindset to a whole different level. And without Bob Proctor, I don't know if I could be where I am today. He took that foundation of psychology and everything I was learning by absorbing my clients back in the fitness industry and put it into a context that changed my belief systems and taught me how to rewire my brain, basically, rewire my beliefs and accelerate success to a different level. And then I'd have to say my old business partner, who unfortunately is no longer alive, his name is Mike Ashley. I'd have to give him, a huge amount of credit because he was the first person that really believed in me when I literally didn't know what I was doing. I knew what I did and knew what I was doing in the scope of fitness, but had no idea in the scope of business, and gave me an opportunity to learn under his supervision, but alongside him under his supervision. So I was his partner. And that gave me confidence that, hey, I can do this thing. I got it. So those two people, there's so many along the way, but I'd say those were the two major tipping points for me.
Excellent. Now, how can we support you? The website that you want us to go to, social media, what are the things that you want us to look out for? I'll have links to everything, but just so people listening can hear it.
So my Facebook page, I post a lot, and you can engage with me a lot there. I'm definitely my public page, but more so my personal page. And on Twitter and Instagram, I post a lot there as well. So that's a great engagement spot with me. But like you said earlier, if you want to learn at the course, if you want to take an emotional intelligence course, that's definitely something that's one of my top focuses and passion right now. And then also Jumpstart Startup. If you have a business or want to start a business and want to utilize the resources that we're curating and to help scale and grow your business, definitely connect with us at jumpstartstartup.com and on our Jumpstart Startup Facebook page.
Excellent. And the social media you mentioned for you is just at Jen Groover.
Yep, just one N in Jen, and Groover is two O's, like groovy with an R.
Like groovy, yes, indeed. Jen, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you immensely. And I have to tell you before you go, I have that recording. Remember, I did a voice memo when we were sitting at that table. And I listened to it over and over again of you talking about support is sexy and what it could be. It was part of the motivation for me and getting things. It was almost like a meditation, So
that makes me so happy.
Yeah, getting in your mind that you can do this. This is a way that you can do this. Think about how you can make this work. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And before you go, just a parting piece of advice from you to our listeners.
Have more fear of regret than you have of failure, and know that your personal development is your priority in order to be not just successful, but ultimately happy and fulfilled.
Excellent. Jen Groover, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you. I'll send you links to everything.
Sounds great. Thanks so much. I appreciate it.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye. All right. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed that episode. And the challenge for you is to take at least one thing. You can always do more than one thing, but take at least one thing and incorporate that into your business today. Take action today. Also, be sure to go to supportissexypodcast.com to get more information about this episode and to see previous interviews that I've done with other fantastic women entrepreneurs. All right. So thank you so much again for listening. Until next time, you know what to do. Go out there and create something sexy, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care.